Hi everyone, and thanks very much for stopping by. Today I want to show you a quick video on how to make this card that I made using Bird's Eye View, which is a Stampin' Up stamp set. And this is the card, and I used blending brushes and masking to make the background. All right, let's get started. I am going to be starting with a piece of basic white cardstock that is 3¼ inches wide by 4½ inches tall. Now I have cut out a circle 1 3/8 in diameter from a Post-it note. I generally use the Stampin' masking paper, which is amazing, but I do not have any with me, so this is what I'm going to be using today. I have blending brushes. These are the small blending brushes. We have them in 2 sizes. I use these a lot and I love them. And the inks that I'm going to be using are Bubble Bath, Fresh Freesia, and Balmy Blue. And so I'm just going to put this circle on the paper, and I'm going to start with the bubble bath. Now my bubble bath is quite inky, so I want to be sure to tap it off on my paper before I start. And then what I'm going to be doing is just concentric circles around the Post-it note. Start with bubble bath, and then I'm going to move to Fresh Freesia. And the Fresh Freesia is going to be a little further out. And then I will do the Balmy Blue next, and that will be further out still. And I am overlapping these somewhat. Now, what I want to do with this is each time I should be tapping the paper, especially if my ink pad is quite inky. Otherwise, you may end up getting a blob of ink that you might not be happy with. Sometimes I get impatient and I go faster and faster, and then I forget. Generally, I'll go circles around that Post-it note, but once I'm a little further out, I'll just be adding ink in a circular motion here, and you might be able to see that I just have a little bit of a blob there. I am going to be doing the corners darker, so I'm hoping that I can somewhat camouflage that. We'll see. Now, this can be a subtle effect or it can be a dramatic effect. It depends what colors you're using and how much ink you're applying. I wanted this one to be fairly subtle, and I think that we're finished, except for that little blob. Still not happy about that. There. Now my sentiment is going to be going there, so that will hopefully camouflage it a little bit. I will cut these inks away. The blending brushes come in a set of 3, and as I mentioned, there are 2 different sizes. These are the small ones, and we do have a larger one as well. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is do the sentiment. The sentiment is from Seaside Bay, and I am going to be using Memento Tuxedo Black ink for this. And I'll probably pop my head in your way for a moment. I wanted to do the sentiment next, just in case it didn't work out well and we had to start all over again. Thankfully that worked quite well. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like underneath. It's white right now. You can apply a bit of yellow ink if you want to. And let's get stamping with our other parts. The Bird's Eye View stamp set is a photopolymer stamp set, so I do use it over a Stampin' Pierce mat. And the reason I do that is I find that the stamp makes a better contact with the paper when it's got that little bit of foam underneath it. So if you've got any of those little foam mats, it would be good to use. I'm just going to put this branch off from the right-hand side. And then we'll add our little bird so that he is sitting on the branch. And I'm going to do some leaves as well. There's a little set of 3 leaves here. Now these to me are a little bit odd in that they don't really have branches attaching them to anything. So I'm just going to fix that and use a Stampin' Up black marker just to draw those. So I'm going to use the smaller end of this and just sort of add a little bit of a vine for those leaves to attach to the branch. And then I'm going to color them with our Stampin' Blends combo packs. And I'll start with the crumb cake. And I always start with the darker color. I know a lot of people start with the lighter one. It's totally up to you. I like to sort of put my shadow parts on first and then apply the lighter color and just blend it with the lighter color. And you'll notice that I'm stamping and coloring right over top of the ink that I applied with the blending brushes. Because it's subtle, you can do that. If you were to make quite dark colors, you would want to mask the branches and the bird and the leaves before you started, before you added the color with the blending brushes. I'm taking my darker Granny Apple Green and I am adding the darker part onto the centers, the veins of the leaf. And then I'm going to add the lighter color and just blend them together. Sorry, I've got quite a delay on my camera today, and when I'm out of frame, I'm not noticing it until a little bit later. Hopefully you can see all what I'm doing. Now the bird, I'm going to use Pretty Peacock and the Pool Party blends. Probably I won't use the dark Pretty Peacock. I think I'll just use the light because it's quite an intense color. And I'm just going to go over these dots on the side and the little wiggles on the wing. Do a little bit of shadow. And then I'm going to add a little bit more shadow at the edge with the darker darker Pool Party. And I'll add a little bit of darker under his belly. And then blend with the lighter Pool Party. I also have my color lifter on hand because there's a couple of spots where I have not colored very well and sort of gone over where I didn't want it to go. And the color lifter really works quite well for that. Hey, there's a little spot right there. And I can just show you, there's a little spot right there on his wing. And if I use that, this takes it off. Now this just works with the alcohol blends, the alcohol pens. It won't work with your regular inking. All right, so there's our card front, pretty much finished. And the next thing I'm going to do is take a piece of glorious gingham paper, and this is 4 inches by 5¼ inches. This is a pack of 6x6 designer series paper. It comes in 5 colors, Berry Burst, Blueberry Bushel, Lemon Lime Twist, Pecan Pie, and the Pretty Peacock that I am using. The reverse of each of those sheets has a smaller gingham, and there are 40 sheets in a pack. So it's a good size to have. Okay, so just add our card front onto the Pretty Peacock Designer Series paper. And then we will put that onto our card base. And the card base is Pretty Peacock, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So I'm just going to add this onto there. Making sure my card is opening the correct way and centering it as best I can. All right, and finishing touches on that are the Trio Adhesive-Backed Sequins Trio. This comes in 3 colors in, what is that, Berry Burst, Pretty Peacock, and the white. And I did consider using the Pretty Peacock, but I just thought it sort of took away from the background and everything. So I'm just going to use 3 of the white, and I'll use 1 large one in a bottom corner. I tend to do what a lot of other crafters do and put embellishments in 3s or 5s, odd numbers, and kind of making a triangle with that. And there is our finished card. So I hope that you really like that card. There is a video below, a link to a video below. You can also find the video in my blog, and the address is here. And please be sure to subscribe to get some more card inspiration and card making techniques, and tap the bell so that you are able to see notifications of videos when I do videos. And like I say, please subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks very much for dropping by. Bye-bye.